Hello, beautiful beings. Just jumping on to try something new. I'm called to bring a message for the collective, do a card pull. I've been feeling into this for a couple of days. And I've been talking to the trees here on Pendle Hill. And there's something around the energy of waves and impulses. That's what I was receiving. Waves and impulses. And what I was feeling around that is the wave is like the fluid, the fluidity. And it feels like the new, it's the water, isn't it? It's that kind of flow. So it's like we're being asked to embody the water through our being in our life and flow past obstacles. And there's also something energetically around tuning into the energetic impulses or messages that are coming, and sometimes they're very subtle, so we kind of have to clear our minds, sometimes our vessel as well, to receive those impulses, the waves and impulses, and be attuned to what's coming through your vessel, because all of us will be receiving newness in some way, and it's up to us to clear the space to really hear the mother speaking through us, to hear our intuition, to hear that true self voice that wants to emerge, that wants to bloom and kind of take up more space in our life. So I'm going to keep this quite short tonight, and I am recording on the 29th, and I'm using just one deck, Mystical Shaman Oracle. So before I pressed record, cleared my deck and just asked, what does the collective need to know? And the first one that flew out was the Gatherer. Now these cards are very beautiful. They've got beautiful symbology. And really the Gatherer is, it's about abundance, and also the flip side of that. Where in our lives are we not necessarily using or making the most of the resources that we already have available? The frequency of the collective, the unconscious collective in a lot of ways, is fear. So it's always trying to hook us in. There's a dog at the door. It's always trying to hook us into scarcity, right? But the fact is, we're very, very resourceful beings. And I'm just going to read a little bit of the essence of this card for you. Before we cultivated grains, we collected the wild bounty of nature. The gatherer finds abundant seeds, nuts, berries, and wild greens, where the ordinary person sees only barren soil. So it's about your perception, not necessarily what is actually there. The gatherer is the provider, the forager, and the gardener who collects roots and vegetables for the long winter when game is scarce. She does not hoard, trusting the bounty around her. So when we hoard, the energy of that is that there's not going to be any more. We have fear that there is a limited supply. It's like money, isn't it? Oh God, I've got to keep on to this because there might not be any more. Now, anywhere that we're holding fear, whether it's about money, resources, anything at all, it's an energy that controls us. It's binding us. The fear constructs, especially around money, are very deep, And a lot of us are being asked to look at the moment about where we're holding fear, especially around money and resources. You know, there's a lot of stuff in the news and all of this stuff around resources, scarcity, making people feel as if they're not enough natural resources, which is absolute rubbish. There is infinite abundance in this world, on this planet, in this reality. So looking at where we're holding within any frequency of fear around scarcity, because that is a construct that we are held in. It's a construct of the mind that controls us, and they feed into that to keep us small, because when we dismantle those constructs, we're free, we can't be controlled, and that's an inside job. It's in the mind. It's not really to do with anything outside of us. So I'm going to read you the invitation for the gatherer. Look at the resources you already have close at hand. This is a time of abundance. Everything around you is ripe and ready for harvest. Banish the notions of scarcity that have limited your choices and coloured your destiny. Pack your food for the winter and start with the low-hanging fruit that is all around you. So it's referring to your perception. The filter that you look at life through is how you're going to see things. You could have £1 million in the bank and still feel lack, still feel fear, still think, oh, it's limited, I'm going to run out. So look at the resources you already have close at hand. Really look around you and take in what is already present. Don't bypass that. Have gratitude for what is already there, which you created and you put there. This is a time of abundance. Everything around you is ripe and ready for harvest. So the notions of scarcity are false. They're a false construct. Even if we've got £0 in our bank, or on that particular day, it's still a false construct. Because once we get into fear and scarcity, then we are limited. And then we make choices from there, from that place. And that will colour your destiny. So it's asking to look at where we're holding scarcity within and really seeing that for what it is, and instead looking with fresh eyes at what you already have there, what is already present, because you have everything you need. You have everything you need present. So really focus on that, gratitude for that, and then expand that energy, and that will only attract more. Okay, so let's see where we're going from this. Luna, you can't come in because you're going to crash around everywhere and you're wet. So you'll have to wait. Clear. Okay, so how can we expand on that message? Okay. Right. Many paths. Interesting. Many paths. I feel like this is a reference to choice. So you can choose how you do it. There's no right or wrong way. It's your individual choice from your sovereign perspective. All paths lead to spirit. What you bring to your journey is what will determine if yours is a path of suffering, a path of wisdom, a path of bliss, or a path of loss. So in other words, it's referring back to that perception. And you have a choice about that. Consider the traveller who met two stonemasons. He asks one what he's doing, and the mason replies, "I'm squaring out this stone." he asks the other, who is doing the exact same thing, and gets the reply, I'm building a cathedral. One man has a job, the other man has found his work and calling. He is part of an endeavour much greater than himself. So be sure you pick a path with a heart. So be aware. This is about awareness. Be aware of where your choices are now, right? So we have to be aware and conscious of where we're currently at if we really want to bring in expansion. Can't always be focusing on the next thing. We have to be aware and respect exactly where we're at now, because to be able to make a conscious choice to pick a path with a heart, and no path is right or wrong. So if you're making a choice with awareness, with consciousness from your heart, then that is right, and that is right for you. So the invitation is, your call now is to take a big, bold step and leave the beaten path. So leave the mass consciousness of lack and scarcity. Heaven and earth are conspiring on your behalf to support you in this move. Do not dally lest you miss the moment. It's time to sail into the uncharted. Be sure you attend to both your path through this earth as well as your journey through the stars. So it's about, again, linking to the fear energy. The fear can stop us from making choices that take us into the unknown. The fear can keep us in our comfort zone, but it's a false construct. There is always abundance. Okay, so it's really about having faith in yourself and your own choices, and being willing to believe in abundance and believe in yourself. You know, it can take us a lot of courage to take a big, bold step. I know it has for me. It's taken me a lot of courage to be bold in my life, and even now I'm like, oh, some things pop up. So all of us carry these energies from the past. So it's about giving ourselves permission to see past the path that everybody else takes. You don't have to take the path that everybody else takes. You're a unique expression, a unique individual. And what's really being asked of us now, Spirit is asking us to really embrace our uniqueness and to carve our own path. Can you give yourself permission to carve your own path? Because there are many. So the next one is the spiral. And this is a really beautiful and interesting card. I want you to kind of breathe that in for a moment, because this is found everywhere, like that kind of it's like geometry, from galaxies in the sky to the shells on the beach. This spiral, that form, shape, is everywhere in the natural world. The form of a coiled serpent. That symbol's been used since ancient times, and it is a tool for growth and transformation. So the spiral is a guide for entering deep into one's consciousness and the unknown. And this is really about the permission piece. Can you give yourself permission to go deep into self? Because sometimes there's a fear there. There's a fear of self. There's a fear of what's inside. There's a fear of the darkness, the unknown that we carry. Again, so it's another level of permission. Can we allow ourselves to enter deep into our own consciousness? Because that is our guide to the path that is ours. And then extend that far out into the heavens. It is crucial to surrender to this journey until the exhausted paradigm dissolves in the depths of the psyche. So the exhausted paradigm is the old world. So can we surrender to our own unique journey and focus on that above all else until the old constructs in our mind and in our lives start to dissolve, because we've taken our attention away from them. We're not loyal to them anymore. It is crucial to surrender to this journey until the exhausted paradigm dissolves in the depths of your psyche. They're inner constructs. There's nothing outside of you. And its energy is released to give birth to a new reality. So the invitation, guys, is to renew yourself. You must shed your old skin. Shukurikiana muta. So, yeah, the wood snake, right? This is the year. Shedding the old skin. You have already done this. So really, a lot of you are a lot further than you think you are. You might be going through a cycle of 555. You might be going through a cycle of something old, or a resurfacing or a re-emergence of something that feels old, and you feel like it's real, but it isn't really there anymore. It's just asking you to see it for what it is, as a false construct. To renew yourself, you must shed your old skin, and you have already done this mostly. So don't keep scraping away at the old, but welcome the soft new skin that's starting to grow. And that takes courage, because it is new and it's tender. It's those tender, it makes you feel vulnerable. So again, that brings us back to the fear. But that's false. It's not you. Okay? And we have to be willing to feel, show, express our vulnerability, and to take new paths, new choices that are more in alignment with who we're becoming, rather than, you know, who we've been. Break the habit of working on your faults all the time and let nature take its course. Yes. Picking fault is only ever going to make you feel, it makes all of us feel miserable. So if you're picking fault with yourself, if you're criticizing yourself over and over again, you know, please look at breaking that habit, because you deserve better. And the inner voice will always run to negativity unless we come in and correct that. Let nature take its course. Know that a new skin feels vulnerable and scary at times. Trust the medicine of the spiral as it guides your journey of renewal. So here, bringing in the energy of trust over fear. And this is a mantra that we've been saying every day, isn't it? Our faith is stronger than our fear. Faith is stronger than fear. Okay, so that's a path to choose as well. You can choose the path of trust. I'm relearning. We all have to relearn. Be patient with yourself. We're more inclined to fear than trust. We've been, especially women, have been conditioned out of trust. Trust in yourself, trust in life, trust in our intuition. So we're relearning, and give yourself the patience and permission again to do that, and to really allow the unseen and that vulnerable part to guide your path to your journey of renewal. So we have one last card here, which is a beautiful, and this hasn't come out for ages for me in any of my personal readings. I think it's a beautiful card, so breathe that in. The Staff. It's an interesting card, actually. So this is about inner authority. Are you going to stand up for yourself? Are you going to stand up for your dreams? Are you going to stand up for your right to choose, which is freedom? The Staff is a symbol of authority. It holds the power to temper extremes. The Staff helps you to find the right course of action, the way of the middle way, and aids you to maintain your balance after you begin walking in that direction. So this is really important, because when we start to step into the unknown, we can start to feel really ungrounded. if we're not really anchored in our own authority. So do you know who you are? Do you know that you are the love light? Do you know that you are a sovereign being and that your choice is sovereign? But that has to come from a place of knowing, because the universe is responding to the frequency that you're holding inside, the desire, the will, the core frequency. And if that is vibrating at fear, then that's what's emanating. So look at, you know, how much you respect and own your own authority in your own life, however that looks, through your voice, through your actions, and how you're thinking about yourself. Okay, because it's going to keep you anchored in your own sense of balance. So even if you have the vulnerability coming up, you will have a deeper or overall sense that will still anchor you, so you won't get pulled out by the fear. Moses carried a serpent staff through the desert, and with it he could summon the power of nature to heal or to call plagues. The staff reminds you of the impermanence of all things, and that your authority must come from your deep longing to serve. You know, for those of you that are in service, for those of you that are healers, light workers in service to others, which is a beautiful calling and very, very needed in this world. The space that we hold for others is a reflection of the space that we hold for ourselves. And if we don't have that trust in self, then we're not fully anchored in that authority if there's still fear there. Okay, so really looking at your personal power and how you're applying that in your life, because when you're really anchored in that, that will come up and over the lack and scarcity, so that you can really anchor in abundance regardless of physical circumstances. This is not about physical circumstances always. Yes, the gatherer reminds us to look around us and take real account of what's there and have gratitude, but this is really about the unseen. This is really about the path that we've chosen and trusting that and coming into that real sense of personal authority. So the invitation there is, you know how to flow easily between polarities. And a lot of us, we've been shunted from one thing to the other. You know, it's not always a flow with polarity. Sometimes we're feeling great. The next time it's like we're shown the contrast. So the polarity is very obvious and felt right now. But can we flow easily between them? Well, we can if we're in our personal authority and we're not constantly pulled out by the circumstances that are essentially on a lag. The physical reality is on a lag. It's a result of yesterday. So when you anchor in your sovereign authority, you can weigh all possibilities and instinctively select the right path. Okay? So when you trust your inner wisdom and take the first step on a journey that your heart has already embarked on. Now, this is huge right now. Many of us are being called to a different path. Many of us are being called to take that bold step. But we might be a bit scared. And that's okay. Okay? Own it, because under the fear, there's the deep longing, there's the yearning, there's the new possibility, okay? But we have to be willing to be vulnerable. We have to be willing to feel that raw tenderness of the new and trust in the unseen, right? So trust your inner wisdom and take the first step on a journey that your heart has already embarked on. Use the power of the staff to unite what appears to be divided, to find that delicate balance between will and surrender. That's really beautiful. I'm going to repeat that. Use the power of the staff to unite what appears to be divided, to find that delicate balance between will and surrender. So many things appear to be divided in this world. The polarity, we're in the habit, the mind wants to affirm or deny. That's what it does, right? Affirm, deny, either or, black, white. But actually, the paradox of all life is that it's both a lot of the time. And we're really being asked to, our consciousness is being asked to expand, to hold different truths. What appears to be opposite or divided is actually not. And there's a great piece of Celtic wisdom that it's like, whenever something appears to be divided, there can be a conflict with it, because we ping from one to the other. But actually, if we can look at the two things with neutrality and sit in the space with both, what we can find is there's a threshold in the middle, and that's said to be a very great point of wisdom, because we start to expand our consciousness to include all, and there's no right and wrong. It just is. And there's no backwards and forwards. Both have truth. Everything has truth. Everything has a place. It doesn't have to be one or the other. There are many paths. So find that delicate balance between will and surrender. And this is about coming out of the mind. Because the mind will want to push. It will want to force. It wants to know the outcome. The will is very easily hijacked by the mind. And then we're trying to force things. And really, that's not the frequency of waves and impulse. It's not the frequency of the wave. There's no forcing, it's flow. So where is our mind trying to force our will? And where can we invite in? It's an invitation. Find the delicate balance between will and surrender. So we can apply our will to our aligned path. But we can also surrender all the things from the past, things that the mind is looping on, the old constructs. We can surrender the lack, the scarcity, everything that blocks us is in our mind. So when we can find a space between that, the will starts to be redirected into the true path. It starts to be used in alignment with what we truly desire, not what we're trying to control. So, yeah, I think I'm going to leave that here. I hope that's been supportive for somebody. And let me know if you appreciate this type of reading, and if you'd like to see more of it. I'm really resonating with it myself, so I'm called to share. So yeah, whatever you're doing, trust yourself and give yourself permission to release the fear. You are more than anything that blocks you or concerns you, bothers you. Trust yourself. Faith is stronger than fear, and that's a choice. So I'm sending you so much love. Peace out.